How? How did they know how to do this? It doesn't make sense. We were winning. In fact, we were dominating the battlefield for decades as we pushed the Lecto out of their own systems and into the darkness of the ether. So how did they figure out how to fight so well all of a sudden? Why did their tactics change so drastically? How could we be pushed back to our own lines? It doesn't make sense. Sire, it does make sense when you add another factor. That would be? Sire, the Lyco gained an ally. These allies have never been more than a cliff note to their military. The other 6 allies have fallen rapidly to our might. Are you trying to say that a single species has been tearing our fleets to slag? That one species had severed our supply lines to the point of complete collapse? Are you telling me that a single species has taken world after world from us without our forces defeating them in a single engagement? Is that what you're saying? Yes, sire, that is exactly what I'm saying. I have proof to back up my statement. The young officer stood and activated a large holographic display. As he goes through the file, a still image is placed so that all can see. This picture is one of the only images we have been able to collect. As you can see, these are not Lycos, as their body shape is far too different. Comparing the debris sizes to the creature, where our best estimates have it standing on its 2 legs at around 2 kelets, their version of meters. This shocked everyone, as the tallest of their kind stood 2.8 kelets. Of course, that is extending their legs to their full length, yet this means that they have the advantage, or should, especially since everyone knows that Lycos average about 1.6 kelets. Even with the height larger than the Lycos, they are still smaller than we are for sure. However, I would like you to see the image here. He changes the image to another human on a much warmer planet. As you can see, the size of its musculature is far beyond that of a Lycos, and even ourselves. As far as calculating the true strengths, well, we only have this. The scan changes to an 8-second video of one of these creatures lifting a very large piece of debris off another one of said creatures. The piece of debris was easily twice the size of this creature, yet he flipped it over with little hesitation. The entire room was in shock seeing this. Calming themselves, the leader spoke. Strength alone does not give enough reason how they are able to perform so well in multiple situations. Space combat, for example. Do you have anything to report on how they are able to conduct themselves in an environment where strength is not a factor? Yes, sire. Motioning to the male and female to his right, both of them began to upload information. This is from the data logs of the Moondance Lightning, a cruiser sent to hunt down these elusive ships destroying our supply lines. The image of the ship, and of course its surrounding area, came up as a 3D image, an image that was backed away to basically give it a almost overlay. As you can see, the sensors had discovered nothing as they passed through the engagement corridor. To get a better scan of the area, the cruiser activated its active sensor arrays. The moment the arrays were online, 6 pieces of ordnance arrived on the sensors, followed by another 3 waves of ordnance. We only know that they were ordnance by what happened next. The recording is paused, and they zoom into the cruiser. The image shows the point defense cannons being deployed and beginning to engage the incoming projectiles. The projectiles seemed to deflect the energy and ballistic weapons as they continued forward and pierced through the hull, penetrating into the ship and showing compartments disappear, decompress, and show malfunctions as the rest of the projectiles pierced through the hull just moments later. Then the image changes to the real ship. It's blown apart from the inside and opened up like a simple flower. After taking a moment, the young one continues. We have also found out that the short-range combat is ineffective against them. His compatriots change the image, and it shows a group in another space lane, actually right near one of their own stations, a very important station. Everyone recognized it and knew what was going to happen, but no one turned their eyes away. No one dared to blink as they wanted to see. As the sensors are turned on from one of the ships, a silhouette of a vessel appears. This vessel is so close that unless you zoom in on the images, you would think they're one and the same. As they listen to its own black box recording, just as the captain orders the point defense cannons to be deployed, the voices on the recording are swapped out with screams of terror and pain. The 3D image of the ship started to flash different colors as the compartments were punctured through, depressurized, and many of the crew damaged, injured, or straight up killed. On the holoscreen, the image of the ship itself began to flash different colors due to its damage being taken, and then it just stopped. The image was then swapped to an exterior shot of the same ship, and as they looked over, they could see more holes in it than a coffee filter. The brief image of the attacking ship was also shown. It was sleek, yet bulky, with no signs of point defense cannons anywhere. Yet, during the scans they played, you could see within moments the cannons are deployed and spewing tens of thousands of projectiles a second.
Does anyone know who or what these creatures are?
Another older officer stepped in and stood up.
Sire, there is so little information that we do not even know their language. What we do know is that they will only be seen if they want to be seen. This includes inside atmosphere.
Explain!
Sire, these recordings have reached me less than an hour ago. Until my young colleague here brought in his own evidence, I was not sure if this was a hoax.
He then touched a few buttons, and with a swipe of his talon, the image appeared on the screen.
These short recordings are the only items we could recover. They were sent from the surface of IKEA 4.
Everyone knew that, as a major manufacturing world.
And received from a memory core of a frigate that nearly escaped.
Nearly?
Yes, sire. All personnel had long since perished from rapid decompressurization. As you can see, whatever they are able to engage at their own leisure. As you can see, they have created large machines that aid them in their assault. In a few moments, you will see it activate a rapid-fire ballistic cannon on those shooting blaster bolts into it, which are clearly, as you can see, ineffective. If we increase magnification, we can see that there are atmospheric fighters supporting them. We have checked the records and cannot find any sensor logs indicating these vessels until they release their ordnance, after which they then disappear from our sensors.
They continued to watch the videos over and over again, left them on a loop. Then he spoke again.
The only commonality with the atmospheric fighters, their robotic counterparts, and these bipedal creatures supporting said robots is their use of ballistic weapons. Normally, I would recommend ballistic shielding. However, in this recording, you can see that shielding is ineffectual.
The video then zooms into an area showing a few of their warriors behind a large piece of construction equipment. This is a very large hunk of metal that should be able to stop most projectiles. However, moments after focusing on this, they see a small piece of ordnance come over the heads, just barely a few centimeters over the barricade that they're using, and then exploded. The room is silent as the image pauses at the splattered bodies. They all look to the Supreme Commander. He sits in contemplation at the idea that an unknown species would be so good at warfare, so good that they have completely been pushed.
Their military has been pushed back to the edge of Lyco space. The room is completely silent for several minutes as they all try and process the information, and they all wait for their master. Then, another officer, while waiting, reads something on her screen and jumps up.
Sire! Our people have returned to us!
She swipes her claw so that the image pops up for everyone to see. The image that comes out is a bunch of Lyco transports landing on an abandoned system. From the inside of said transports, thousands upon thousands of their people, the Proby, exit, looking confused, but not abused.
Send recovery now!
Everyone immediately jumps up and gets to work. A few weeks later, they brought their reports back to the council, most of which said the same thing. Strange creatures had arrived, conquered the planet, rendered aid to the survivors, and eventually loaded them up on Lyco ships. When asked about the new species, as in details, the survivors said things like scary, odd, strange, nice, creepy, mechanical, horrifying, caring, walked funny, always armed, professional, killers, efficient, and amazing. When asked what these new creatures looked like, no one knew. These things never took off their armor. Through translators, these creatures had insisted that they not be exposed at all. Within all the information, there was one piece everybody had. It was a message translated into the Proby language. Stay away. Everyone in the council listened to this warning as the creatures had stopped their assault right at the border. Yet, even though there was no aggression, one question did remain and did linger. A question that dug into every single one's mind. It wasn't anything to do with what would happen if the Proby tried to fight back against these creatures, because there was no interest in trying to pick a fight with them. It was the question, since they're so good at moving around undetected, could they already be here? Proby would always say this as their eyes darted around in different directions. The question kept most of them up at night, as those strange, magnanimous killers became the ghosts in the darkness. Deep off in the blackness of space, a few humans monitored the Proby Council from the bug they had planted inside the actual council room. The Proby tried to talk in whispers every time they brought up their invisible adversary. It was so obvious that it had them rattled that the RTO looked over to his NCOIC and said, "Hey, Sergeant, I think they're scared." His sergeant turned with a big grin so wide you'd think he was going to go fight Batman, and simply responded, "Good."